I am what some refer to as a video game collector. Now, as a video game collector, I've always kind of held myself to a specific rule, which is I would only add something to my collection as long as it was a game that I was actually interested in playing. However, that's changing today. What you see behind me here are some Nintendo 64 cartridges. The Nintendo 64 was one of the first video game consoles that I ever played, and as such, I have a high degree of nostalgia towards the system and its games. So while most of my collecting habits have been in service of picking up games that I'm interested in playing, there is one aspect of being a collector that has also fascinated me, and that is the concept of owning a complete set. Now, the idea of going for a complete set of any sort of console is a pretty daunting task. You have some consoles that have a small amount of games but are relatively expensive due to how rare they are. You have other consoles like the PS2 that have like over 1,000 games for the whole set. But that's not the case for the Nintendo 64. You see, the Nintendo 64 has 296 games that make up its complete North American set. So while 296 games is a lot, it's certainly a lot more manageable than some of these other consoles to go for a complete set. So as you may guess from the title, I have decided that I'm going to attempt over the next couple years to complete a North American set of Nintendo 64 games. If this challenge sounds like something you'd be interested in watching, then you're in the right place. This is Nick64. So I could just start this inaugural video off by just showing the meager amount of N64 games that are already in my possession, but that wouldn't be as interesting. Why don't we go out and try to see if we can get something to add a little bit of juice to this collection. My local game store just recently got a pretty decent N64 trade-in, so why don't we go see what's left and see what we can pick up. So I figure I should probably do a little bit of explaining as to what kind of show Nick64 is. Because contrary to what this opening episode might lead you to think, it isn't just going to be a show about me spending money on video games. As you may or may not know, Sri and I host the Respawn Station podcast here. And on that podcast, while we do a little bit of reflection here and there on older games and such, it is primarily a, contemporary video game podcast. And so I like to mix a bit of the old in with a bit of the new. So essentially, what Nick64 is going to be is a show where I can talk about whatever topic I want revolving around the overarching topic of the Nintendo 64. Might do a little bit of gameplay here and there, might, review a random thing regarding the Nintendo 64, maybe even do some unboxing stuff. The sky's really the limit. So while there will be a overarching mission of trying to go for a complete North American collection, that's not the only thing that this show is going to be. Started raining. But despite that, this was a very successful first haul for the N64 complete set. So let's take a look at what I grabbed. Grabbed a copy of Diddy Kong Racing. A lot of rare stuff in here, as in Rare the company. Grabbed a Jet Force Gemini, Blast Core. Got Body Harvest. That's an old DMA design one, if I'm not mistaken on that. Got Space Station Silicon Valley. And probably the most famous of all, we got Banjo-Kazooie. So yeah, not a bad haul to start off this, random collection series. All right, got my pickups here and got some end labels. Let's get these bad boys on. Perfect. Thanks for watching this first episode of Nick64. Be sure to comment down below what your favorite Nintendo 64 game is, and be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and also check out the Respawn Station podcast.